Yeah, when you chase your own passions and you don't really worry about the numbers and you don't worry about who's looking and who's paying attention and you're just doing your thing, that's when magic can happen because you're really like welcoming that into your life.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Mostly Harmless. I'm your host, Damn it, Damien. Buddies, welcome back to another action-packed episode of Mostly Harmless. This week, we are sitting down and chatting with PR person extraordinaire, Miss Jamie Coletta. Now, if you don't recognize the name, I can guarantee if you've been anywhere in the punk rock stratosphere the last 10 years, you know the acts that she's worked with. As far as I'm concerned, she's the person that broke Pup to the world. Jamie also works for Jeff Rosenstock. The list goes on and on. Wonder Years, AJJ, Chris Barron, Ratboys, Mississippi, and so many more. Jamie has done a lot of really cool work. Today we're going to sit down and we're going to talk to Jamie about her secret to success. We also talk about how she got into the music industry, what she looks for in clients, what she thinks bands should be doing right now in the pandemic to keep momentum up and keep momentum going. And we talk about that and so much more. I could have talked to Jamie for another hour or two easily. I love picking her brain. I love the way her brain works. Buddies, if you like what we've got going on today, please subscribe. Easiest way to support the show. Facebook is hiding YouTube links, so we're not getting as much push as we used to. So please, just subscribe right here on YouTube. We've got a Patreon. If you don't want to watch the show, we're available on all your podcasting platforms. Without any further rambling, let's go get to our chat. Oh, hey.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Jamie, thanks for hanging out and chatting with me today. Is it true you got a babysitter just to talk with little old me today?
I mean, if you want to believe that, that's what I'll tell you. I will say that there is someone here watching my child.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, first off, I want to congratulate you on your own business, No Earbuds. Not only that, you've gotten married and you have a kid now.
Yeah, I got married. I've been married for 6 years.
Oh.
So maybe you missed that. That's okay. That's fair. Hey, it happened. And yes, I had a baby this year. So thank you.
And you started your own business, what, last year?
We're about to, No Earbuds will celebrate 2 years in just a couple weeks.
Man,
yeah.
That's
crazy.
Time flies when you take 4 years off from doing this stuff. So I apologize for not knowing.
Yeah, a lot of things can happen in 4 years. So launched. I did my own thing, freelance for a while with no company, and then I launched it January 3rd of 2018.
Nice. And how has it been being out there on your own, doing your own PR thing?
You know, it's sort of funny. I think in the beginning, or not even in the beginning, but I've always felt like I didn't want to do this. Like I never wanted to start my own company and be on my own like that. But now that I've been doing it, it's like, I don't think I could ever work for anyone else again. Like now that I know it's like a lot of hard work and it's a lot of work, period, but it is so much more rewarding. And, you know, especially 2 years later now, to be able to see some of the ideas I had really starting to come to fruition now, and the types of artists I'm able to work with, it's really grown to be much more than PR, which is what I set out to do in the first place. So it's pretty rewarding. It's just a lot of work.
I wrote a list of all the people I wanted to talk to. I was like, whose stories do I want to tell? And you were always near the top of the list. One, because I've always just loved talking to you. I think we're going to have a great chat today. Hopefully I'm not too presumptuous, but also like, I remember I've been doing punk rock interviews since I was 16. There's some people that open the gate and let people in, and there's some people that will not let you through. Not to name any names like Epitaph, but there are some PR people at different labels that are just so hard to get through. And they're like, you're too small an outlet. But whenever I worked with you, it was always like the more the merrier. You were always just so welcoming to me. I want to talk to you about so much stuff. So I'm like, where do we go to that gets you back to your baby in an appropriate amount of time?
You don't got to worry about you ask me whatever you want. I'm good.
All right. Well, so how did you worked on some pretty great records. I just happen to have a few here.
Oh, shit. Nice.
I have Iron Chic. You worked on Pup.
Yep. Classic.
One of my favorites, Jeff Rosenstock. We cool? Absolutely. And then, I have a lot more on the other back there, but you've done some really great work, and you were just talking about community, and community is really important. And I've been thinking a lot about how community is going to play in the future of music. Let's start off at the beginning. How did you get into music PR work? Was that where you wanted to go? Was that what you wanted to do since you were an 8-year-old child?
Not quite, no. I, didn't really know it existed, I guess is the story. I went to college and I first went into college majoring in communication, but pretty quickly on, I knew that was not going to be the move for me. It just the wrong side of the aisle for me. I just didn't connect with it. But it was the closest thing to what I thought I could do, which was music. And at that age, I'm coming out of high school. I booked a few shows. I had doing I would sign up to be on a street team and shit. So I was doing dumb shit like that just to kind of be involved. More like I'm a fan, honestly. I would go to shows 2-3 nights a week sometimes, like when I got old enough to drive. And so when I got to college, I was really looking for a path to be able to find some job working with artists, but I didn't really know what it was. And when I got to school, they had a degree program for basically like music business. When I realized oh, you can really do this. This is a real thing. And I did that. And granted, I will say that my college degree, shout out to the school, but, good people there, but I don't really think I got a lot from the education. It was more just, it put me on the right path. Meaning, I had to go get internships, and it just so happened that the first internship I got was a PR internship. And so it was sort of like I fell into it, I guess, in the sense that I didn't know what it was when I started, but I was already doing it. I loved music. I loved putting events together for people, or just making I used to make mix CDs like crazy. And, I had one of those like huge CD binders that I would keep in the car, and it's all mixes. So it's like I was already doing the job. I was telling people about the music I loved, and it was just finding that path that would put me on the right track to actually making it my job.
So when you're hanging out with your family, you're like, what is the elevator pitch? What do you tell them a PR person does?
Shit, that's a great question. First, because I can't remember the last time anybody in any of my extended family cared enough to ask. I guess an easy answer is just like, for somebody who doesn't know music, I guess it's, building awareness around a release or an artist, or, being that in between of the artist and the world, and really taking whatever their message is and their story is and telling it to other people. I mean, we're all doing the same gig. We're just doing it in different ways on different paths.
And you make it look easy. I tried doing PR work for about a year, and then it seemed like the whole industry pivoted. Also, thank you you were very kind with your feedback whenever I was pretending to be a PR person. You make it look so easy, and I can attest to that. It is not easy. Is there some kind of secret that you have that maybe I didn't get told about?
I don't know. I don't have a secret. I think it's just, you just gotta love what you're doing and be yourself. And I mean, yeah, I spend a shit ton of time targeting, because if you laser focus the people you want to talk to, and you have real reason why, because you spend 2 weeks researching them, then your pitch is gonna land. If you're going to just shoot out quick pitches left and right, you're going to get the answers in the same capacity. So I think there is no real secret. I really try to just be myself. I only work on projects I love, and I don't tell myself I love them. I have to love them. Usually my checkpoint is if I've listened to something enough that I'm singing it aloud around the house. Like I'm thinking if it's in my head later that day or something. But yeah, I have to love the record, and from there, it's just, it's also time, man. It's like, I've been doing this for over a decade, and some of these writers, probably getting close to a decade of knowing them, or there's some that I've probably known since 2013, and so we're pushing it in terms of how long we've known each other too. So success is also, I have to say, attributed to that too, just the timing of it.
So you mentioned like you have to like a client. What, other than just liking them, what are you looking for in clients?
Yeah, I mean, well, music, step one. So we're assuming we got past step one. Just a vibe. Like, do I get along with them? Can we hang? In pre-COVID, I usually would wait till they were coming around on tour or something, and I'd be able to go out and hang out with them and smoke and just chill or eat something, like just have a vibe. But now, it's a lot of it's a lot of Zooms, but it's just connecting and making sure that we get along and that the visions line up of what do they want for the career? Can I actually help them? Do I actually have the means and the resources and the connections to connect these dots for this person to get them closer to where they're trying to go? Because sometimes I'll love a record, but they want stuff that it's not within my reach, or it's just something I don't feel confident in getting. So I will, kind of weigh my options at that point. Having a good connection with somebody is so key. It's really, it's loving the music and liking the person.
Yeah. You sound like an anti, Airheads pops into my head and the sleazy A&R guys. You sound like you're the anti sleazy A&R guy, and that's what makes you successful. Because
I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna put that on my Twitter bio, the anti sleazy A&R guy, because that's so it. Yeah.
So this whole time during this quarantine for COVID-19, I've been sitting here like the promotions guy in me is like, man, why aren't bands doing this, this, and this? People should be out there doing this. What do you see from your level that you think like bands could and should be doing right now while they're not touring, while they're not, doing their thing?
Yeah, the best thing I can say is I always tell bands that the same energy that you used to put into touring, everything from if you were self-booking your tour and all those fucking emails, or if you had somebody working on it for you or whatever, it's all the energy, promoting it, getting the merch together, all of that is gone. But that energy has to be applied elsewhere. Take that same level of hustle and apply it to promoting whatever you're doing. And if you some artists don't have any music, cool, all good. Go get a regular job and chill for a year. Can't do much for you. If you don't have, if you're coming off of a record, there's a few examples I can think of, but we're really just talking about people who are actively able to create and release stuff, because it's kind of what you have to do right now is have, some kind of content coming out on a pretty regular basis. And when I say that, it means a million things. It means whatever it needs to mean for your project. Like, content can be anything from a music video to a new single to a cover to, I don't know, your band came up with, their own guitar pedal, or, you know what I mean? Like, you come up with it, you just need to have these kind of campaign touch points that you can use to kind of keep awareness moving throughout however long it's going to be until you can do something normal again. And you have to also go into it thinking it may not be normal for a lot longer. I know they're saying next year, but it might be 2 years before you're able to do what you used to be able to do with ease. So you really have to start thinking forwardly and thinking about, what am I going to do between now and then that's going to keep people talking about me? And that means I have to have stuff happening. And whether you're doing your own thing, you're making your own content, and then you suddenly it's working and people are flocking to you and you're getting a lot more of opportunities, well, great, that's stuff to fill the calendar. But you can still do it all by yourself too. You can still build your own kind of momentum. It's just coming up with the things that stand out about you and finding creative ways to highlight them.
Yeah, I've seen a handful. I'm surprised I haven't seen more of it, but I've seen like a handful of like charity comps and zines from bands to keep connecting while also doing charity work. It does take a lot of work, and it takes that special person to do it,
Well, and it is frustrating because even saying all of that, there are still going to be great artists and great bands that this time is going to fuck over. There's going to be great music that maybe we never get a chance to hear because some people are just, this is not their forte, and this is the part that throws them off. And they might have a great record, but they only would have connected if they were able to just go hit it on the DIY circuit or something, there's just, I know of records that would have gone off way better if they were able to tour. It's just a part of it. But I think if anything, the way to look at it positively is if you were one of those bands who really relied on the road to connect with people, well, you need to go back to the lab. You need to go back to the lab because now you're in a situation where you've seen you can't rely on that. Well, then what? You're going to need to come up with something else that is going to keep this moving. You can't just expect one part of it's like a table with, only one peg, like underneath, only one leg, on the table. And you're expecting this table to stand up on one leg. Maybe if you balance it perfectly, you can get it to, that's how I feel, honestly, about how the independent music industry has been in the last handful of years. It's literally leaning on one leg and it's balancing, and now it's landed and fallen, and it's not going to get back up. So it's like you have to remember there's other legs you have to be operating. And that's what unfortunately, a lot of punk bands definitely forget. I have opinions. I don't know if you can tell, Damien.
No, and that's great. And that's probably what makes this work is like, I don't know about you, but I lie in bed late at night thinking about, how can I promote X, Y, and Z better? And I'm sure you're very much the same way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I feel like I kind of always have the radar on for ideas to come in. And, I feel like I try to take inspiration from the other kinds of entertainment I consume. I try to pay attention to my own habits all the time. You know, if I'm ever feeling like drive for ideas, it's like, okay, let me go on Instagram for an hour and see what stood out to me from artists, you know, or let me go to, you know, TikTok and, you know, let me do the experimenting for a minute and see what gets my attention. And that usually gets the ideas coming too. But yeah, you have to be kind of always doing that work, you know? But it's, like I said, it's not everybody's thing. So it's kind of a tough moment for sure.
What are some of the craziest ideas that you can't believe you pulled off?
Yeah, okay. This is a fun question. Like, I would probably say for Roswell Kid, their record Precious Are. I have to mention this because I feel like people talk about this still and it feels crazy, but people still talk about it and reference it. But when we were planning out the album, I was also like, there was one night I was home and I was really high and I was watching Shark Tank. On Shark Tank was the episode, it was like a rerun. It was the episode where they had the potato parcel where you could just ship a potato to somebody for $10 and they would write in Sharpie whatever message you wanted it to say on the potato, and that was it. There was a whole gimmick. I was really stoned and I was like, that would be super funny to send like album promos, but through like the mail like that, or just like pitches, you know, like send pitches through that. We had a meeting with Roswell Kid not long after, and I said it kind of jokingly, but everybody loved it. And they let me send those out to, I really wanted it to only go to like the most important people that you can think of. The New York Times, you know, Spotify, Apple, you know, I don't even know, Pitchfork probably got one. I know the AV Club got one. You know, we just really just played around. I mean, honestly, we only got like 2 responses, but the lore of it has lived on quite a bit.
You sent potatoes?
I did.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, we wrote on them, like, we had it say messages like, you know, hi, so-and-so, like, I bet you've never had a pitch come through a potato before. Anyway, listen to Roswell Kid. It was really, really dry and really, like, there was no reason for that to make sense. You know, it was, the point of it was weird. And that was kind of the thing about Roswell Kid at the time and always. But yeah, that was one. And then I would say, I mean, the other thing that comes to mind is not a specific thing that I've pulled off, but everything that we did with Jeff Rosenstock, everything Jeff, because I'm like super, super grateful to have now gotten to meet him right before he started doing the solo thing. And I feel like those first couple of records were among some of the proudest times and the proudest work I've ever done. But specifically just like, anybody who knows what Jeff was doing before he put out We Cool, to see where he is today is kind of like a mind fuck, you know? And I think 99.9% on him and his drive and who he is and who he's always been destined to be. But I'll take that 0.1% or 0.001, you know, because that early days was really about telling his story. And, you know, the fact that we are able to see him where he is today and know that, you know, back in like 2014, there I was with that record, just 2014, 2015, sending that to people and like really having to fucking pull teeth to get people to listen. But like one by one, we found our people, and each one was all the more enthusiastic to tell his story, because every time somebody gets swept up into his world, you're just blown away and inspired. So you want to go tell other people. And we just, you know, over those first 2 records, we really took his career from one place to a completely different one. And I'm super proud of that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a weird thing, but that's definitely a crazy thing that we pulled off, is that this man literally lives off of this music now.
Yeah. You were talking about community earlier and how you wanted to do more than just promo bands. And Jeff Rosenstock is the epitome of that. I mean, what do you learn working from a guy like Jeff?
Oh my God, everything. I mean, I still learn from Jeff all the time. But yeah, I think when you work with somebody like that, I think, you know, it's low key what you can learn from them. It's very much like over the course of your relationship with somebody like that, you learn things that maybe in the moment didn't seem as important, but really, like, I mean, he knows how to, he's very like, he sticks to his way. And that's the most positive thing I can say, because it's just like, he knows what he wants out of his life and his path. And he knows what's important to his fans, and he will not break. You know, he will stick to that stuff till he's standing on stage at Pitchfork Festival declaring how much he got paid to play it, you know? And it's just like, yes, my God, yes, that confidence and that, like, he's a superhero to me when I see shit like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like, oh my God, you can get to this level being who the fuck you are. You don't have to change who you are. I think for me, it's very reflective of trying to make a name for myself in the music business has been really challenging, because it's just like, I want to be acknowledged for my work. I want people to understand that. I'm 10 plus years into this, you know. I'm not going to make no Forbes lists, you know, and it's like, it's okay, but it's just like to see somebody do, you know, I would if I changed my habits and my, you know, how I work and who I schmooze with, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep doing what I want and what I believe in and building the things that I believe in, just like he did, you know, and it's going to pay off. It will. And maybe it already is, but it's just like being able to just work alongside something like that from, you know, he's also super detail oriented and just like really, really like the finest details on the artwork and the layouts and like the things you would never know matter, they matter. And to kind of be with somebody through that whole type of process is just, there's a never ending amount of stuff you can learn from that.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I mean, I quit doing the podcast for 4 years. When I was done with it, all I was doing was looking at numbers. I was like, how can I get 200 more listeners? How can I do this? How can I do that? Numbers were all that mattered to me. And I took some time off. And now, for me at least, it's all about telling the story. What stories do I want to tell? And again, immediately I started like, the numbers aren't high enough. How do I get these numbers up? And then I started stressing out about all the wrong things.
Yeah.
And then just remember that if I keep making the art the way I want to make it, hopefully it's honest enough that people will gravitate towards it. That's the whole thing I've been learning in this process. And that sounds like pretty similar to what you were just describing too.
Yeah, you just got to do you. And I mean, that's really it. And that's the same thing I tell bands when they're like, well, we don't know what to do. You know, it's like, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
What do you like? You know what I mean? Like, does not have to be like fucking pulling teeth. It's just like, you know what to do. I understand if you don't have the, you know, interpersonal skills to pitch and network yourself, that's fine. Not everybody has that, but like, you know what makes you cool because you're you know what I mean? Like, it's just like interesting. But yeah, when you chase your own passions and you don't really worry about the numbers and you don't worry about who's looking and who's paying attention and you're just doing your thing, that's when magic can happen because you're really like welcoming that into your life, you know? But you know, not everybody wants to listen. It's all good.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about community. I think I've said that like 4 or 5 times. I've noticed that
you should put like a little tracker on the bottom of the screen that says how many times you say it.
Yeah. In the last few years, like music writing and PR has changed drastically, at least from my point of view. Dan Ozzie wrote a really great email not long ago about the future of music writing that really got me thinking about this. But I was just curious, where do you see the future of music journalism and, you know, the music PR place in that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it does change. It has life cycles. You know, I think every 4 to 6 years you get a pretty big, even probably more frequently now than ever, but like every handful of years you get a pretty big change in the scenery, especially if you're somebody like us who's coming in with music from kind of the outlier genres, you know. There's definitely even fewer people we can talk to. And with every cycle, there's even fewer than there were before. But I don't know. I kind of feel like it'll always have its place, but it certainly isn't, you know, it's not the whole picture. Just like how I explained how touring is only one leg of that table, you know, music journalism is only, the traditional way of doing it is only one leg. So I think it's always going to be there. It's always going to be a part of the table. Why am I going with this table metaphor? You can keep this in. This is me just doing me, but this table metaphor is rough. But I get committed to it. I'm committing to the bit. But yeah, it's just like, it's one piece of a bigger puzzle, you know? Now I'm going into a puzzle metaphor, dude. So I feel like it'll always, I think it's almost always going to be around because there's always going to be people, just like, you know, people still listen to fucking CDs. I don't know, man. Like, this thing it's not dying by any means, but is it dying in the sense that like, it is not the end all be all. It hasn't been for a long time. I think it's really for a core music listener and a music fan. And there's certain people who just like to read more than they like to listen to podcasts or watch YouTube videos. That's fine. Everyone's going to have their preference. But those other avenues are definitely taking up some of that space, you know? So I think it probably doesn't get much better for music journalism in the traditional sense, but I don't know that it's probably just going to be how it is now for a while until the next kind of life cycle changes. But yeah, I don't know. It really also depends on the music because I think the trends in music right now are really heading to a genre-less, more unique, the better kind of place. And if that's the case, well, now we're going to want to see those kind of that rise in niche community-driven blogs and things like that and outlets that know their people, their community like airtight. but it's not as, it's not this universal thing. It's just this pocket, So I don't know. I think we'll see, some interesting stuff can come of it, but I don't know. I think if you're operating in the sense that you need that those types of things, just like touring, are going to be it. If as long as you get those things, will be good. I think you are severely, mistaken. You'll be bummed when you get those things and nothing happens.
Yeah. What I've been seeing, email lists again. I think music PR is going to.
Newsletters are a whole thing right now. It's hilarious.
I know.
Valuable, because some of them, there's some writers who I follow, they got like 20,000 subscribers. Jeez. And it's like, you know what makes that any different than the small community scene, blog or whatever? It's the exact same fucking thing. So
yeah. And I think it is slowly going back into a more community-based model. And I hope to see more bands really focus on community and building that up first. And I think that's the main place. Do you have any advice for kids out who might want to build a community?
Just in general, advice for young, because here's the thing: if you're a young band or an artist and you have your local scene and you live in Jersey, it's a completely different explanation of what I would say than if you are, the same scenario, a young band in a local scene, but you're in Iowa. It's like the opportunities and the paths for you are going to be different. And the way you build those communities is going to be different, but it's really just about like, what do you see that works? Especially locally, is there a space that you can kind of start from? If you're really going all the way back to zero and you really don't know what we're talking about, that's fine, because, there should be no limit to this information, but it's just like starting from zero. From my experience, it almost always centers around a local space. And right now that's tough because we can't gather in the way we used to. So I don't know. It's a tough question you asked.
Yeah. But what I like though is that you're in this position now where you have helped some pretty big bands, but you started all the way at the bottom and worked your way up to this position. So I think that's a good lesson is, there's no job too small, I guess, maybe.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If you're always going to have a situation where if you know the right people, or you get lucky and lightning strikes and somebody influential finds your music, then, the path may be different for you. But a lot more people are going to be the ones that release music to not a lot of people and post things for just their family to like and share. And those people don't know how, if they're not located in a place where they can be close to a major scene, or they don't have connections and they don't have those kind of people, I would definitely highly suggest in the time being, and even once shows come back, get your ass on social media, and really like find your footing there. Maybe it's Twitter, maybe it's Instagram. I don't know where, that's the person to person that you're gonna have to figure out where your people are. But look around you, look at the other bands that you've played with in the past, start digging around your local community a little bit of people, and hit the socials with it, and really try to take that in-person thing that you would get out of having that local space or whatever, and try to make it online somehow. And that can be kind of icky for some people. I get it, especially punks. Like, people are all weird about the fucking internet and stuff. It's all good. But if that's really all you can do right now, is find a way to bring your kind of circle of people and bring them online to center around you and your music. But first, find out if something like that's already happening without you, like dig around and see if you notice like, oh shit, all of these people are really active on this one platform. Well, cool. Get more active on that platform too. And just build it from there.
Or start a zine or something, right?
That's perfect too. Exactly. Yeah, you can start it. Literally, you can do whatever you want. Like there is no limit to suggested specific ideas, because it's really going to come down to what's real to you and what's authentic to you. Maybe you're somebody who does artwork and you design stuff. Cool. We'll start doing artwork for other people around you and start getting your name out through them. And, like just whatever's authentic to you, do that, and follow that path. However, if it's a YouTube thing, if it's a zine, like make whatever you want to make the world you want to be in. I don't know.
Yeah. So you were talking about authenticity. How important is it for an artist that you're working with to be authentic, to be themselves and not be this image that they think other people want to see?
Yeah. With me specifically, it's like super fucking important. Like, don't even comment. I can see straight through your bullshit, like I promise you I can. But I think there's other spaces and other genres where, that's probably, the more safely they can package you up, the better, So I don't know. For me, it's, it's a turn off if everything seems too in place. Do you know what I mean? Like if everything is just so well crafted and from the very beginning, there's no development. You're just all of a sudden, perfect. It's like that throws me off because guess what? Ain't nobody like that. And so I think, it's super fucking important to me, like beyond important. It's the whole, I'm not spinning gold over here. I'm taking your authentic stories and I'm just telling the people I know in my own way. And that's all I've done this whole time. It's just working because, I don't know, for whatever reasons it's working. But that's all any publicist or anybody working on the artist side is really doing. It's taking what's real about the artist and bringing it to other people. If you've got a specific thing going, I guarantee you there are people out there who want to work with you too. I prefer you to just be yourself because I don't know. I don't like people who don't do that. So not in real life and not in work life. So
again, thank you for all the opportunities you've given me over the years through your work. If there's a 16-year-old kid out there who wants to start a zine that stumbled upon this, their favorite band is AJJ. What do you look for in like a new writer who's pitching to you? What should people be pitching to you and how should they be doing it?
Oh, great question, because I definitely get a lot of requests from people just starting out that I don't say yes to. And so I guess what I want to see is that it's for real. I don't want you to tell me I'm starting a website and it doesn't exist yet. No, test it out with somebody else, not my people. That's a little bit on, that's one thing. But yeah, I want to see that it's real. I want to see that it's at least, that you're putting an effort into it. You know what I mean? Anybody can start a free website and run an interview just to get access to an artist. I need to see that this is something you're genuinely doing. So whatever it is, I want to see that it exists and that it's legit. And two, just like a genuine enthusiasm for the artist. If you're just starting out, you're probably only trying to talk to people you're super excited about. So make sure I know that and make sure that gets across. Don't try to play it too cool. Be real. AJJ is my favorite band of all time. I started this website. I've had it running for about 6 months now. You can check it out here. I've done interviews with X, Y, and Z. I know I'm small, but I would really love the chance to ask Sean about X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? Like, still putting together a really great pitch, but show me that you know what the art, you show me that you are a fan. Proof that it's real and that you're putting the effort into it and you're not just trying to get access to the artist. Give me some kind of information that tells me you know the art, that why you want to talk to them and where your excitement lies. And maybe it's you've been listening to them since you were in college or what, give me something like that so that I can see that, oh, this person really gives a shit, like this person really cares. And that way it's like, listen, this is not going to, going to the artist, this is kind of opportunity is not going to do anything for you, but you're going to stoke out this fan so much. And does it really harm you to talk to them for 20 minutes? And you help them start their career. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've helped somebody at an early stage of their career get access for an interview or something like that. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, one life cycle later, right? One media life cycle later, now they've got a gig, a staff writer gig, and then one more life cycle and they're an editor. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know where these people fucking end up. So it's like, I try to treat, as long as you're coming at it with a legit platform, I don't care if you've got 5,000 people who follow it or 5, those are 5 people that weren't listening to my artist beforehand. Yeah. So cool, bring them in, but yeah, that would be, make sure it's got to be pretty professional. You have to, come at the pitch strong. But shoot your shot. Just because you're starting out doesn't mean you can't get the access to the big people that you want. It's just you have to present it. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten emails from people requesting stuff where every time they send in a request, they introduce themselves every time. It's like stuff like that where I'm like, you've pitched me and I've written you back 4 times now. You know what I mean? Like, I know who you are. I understand that that's not how a lot of people operate, but you got to come out. If we've interacted before, you don't have to introduce yourself every time. That makes me feel like you're copying and pasting your emails, So,
I always have this fear that people who have forgotten me, especially since it's been 4 years since I've done this little show.
Hey,
so
that's different though. You took a break, you come back, you say, yo, I don't know if you remember me. Like, I was doing this before. That's totally different. Yeah. But I've had one person, I don't recall her name, but I wouldn't say it anyway. That's awful. But there's one writer who I got her, she had a little platform, same story, came at it correctly, felt like it was genuine, connected the dots for her. She got her interview. And then the girl continues to send requests in and it's like almost exactly the same format as the first one. like completely fugazi'd me. And I'm like, what the fuck? And now I'm like, I write her back and I'm like, I will check, but you realize we've emailed and set things up before. Like, I'm not a robot. I know who you are now, And it's just like, when you come at it so insincerely, it does feel like you're just copying and pasting your request message from one email to the next. And guess what? Maybe that'll fly with everybody else you're sending it to, but I'm seeing through it and I don't want to mess with it. It's no personal feeling, it's nothing against you. It's just, I don't feel like you actually want to do this. I feel like you're just checking things off of your list,
Well, that's one thing I've always liked about you is that you do feel so personable, whereas there are other PR people out there who I do feel like I have to introduce myself to them every time because
there's probably plenty of them.
But I do appreciate that how personable you have always been to this. So I hate to sound like I'm kissing your butt, but I am, because I don't think I'd be sitting in this chair had it not been for a lot of the help you gave me along the way. So,
well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
This year's made me big on appreciating people, and like usually it's drunken text messages like, "Hey, remember 7 years ago that one thing you did that changed my life? Thank you." So, this year has been obviously a weird one. What do you have to look forward to in 2021?
Well, a lot of stuff I don't want to talk about yet, but
okay.
No Earbuds celebrates its 2-year anniversary on January 3rd. Very excited, and I can't say what I'm creating to celebrate that, but I'll say there's a multi-part series, and it involves a lot. Pretty much every No Earbud artist from its inception is involved, and I'm very excited about that. So we're going to announce that on the 3rd, and it'll start rolling out sometime from there. And what else? I mean, lots of exciting stuff on the horizon for some of my bigger clients right now. I mean, and I don't know, I just have a lot of cool, young, first time kind of people to introduce you to. It's a lot of stuff in the works. Literally none of the records are announced yet, so I can't say anything.
It's okay. It's okay.
But a lot of cool stuff.
We'll get you back on maybe closer to it.
Anything.
I know we were just talking about authenticity, but are there any bands out there that you're watching and you're like, I wish more people would do it like that, other than Jeff Rosenstock?
Oh, that's a good question. Damn.
Yeah. Like, who should I emulate?
There's a band called Pink Shift right now. They're younger. They're just coming out in the punk space. I think they're definitely worth looking at. They're super smart and super savvy. And the way they've gone about releasing music so far, they only have a few songs out. And the way they've gone about creating the momentum around those releases is pretty impressive. They're definitely one to watch. And I don't work with them, so I would like to. But who else is doing it well right now? I mean, Heart Attack Man, another one. I'm trying to think of people I don't work with, because I feel like it's weird to be like, all of my artists are incredible and everyone should listen to them. But Heart Attack Man does social and does digital so fucking good. It's crazy. And, them, Roswell Kid, these are examples of people who know how to maintain momentum on social without having active releases. Yeah. It's hard to think of things I don't work on, because if I see a band doing it well that excites me, you can probably assume I've already reached out. I've already hit them up. So it's hard not to think of things I'm not involved on, because I'm involved with a lot. But also, like, This Is Impossible. I have to shout out a few of my own, because some people really just killed it this year and are good resources for other bands who are looking to figure out what to do. Ratboys this entire year, super impressive. If you look back through it, they had their album come out in February. It was their most critically acclaimed album yet. It was this like huge headlining tour they were about to do, and literally it all went away. And so they had dates that they were going to open up for Wilco. Like, they had like really cool opportunities on their horizon. It was their best record so far. So it's like all these wonderful things are lining up for them, touring wise, everything, and then it's all gone right after, like 2 weeks after the record came out, gone. And, I don't think that band stumbled for even a second. I think they took some time to regroup and to think about what they wanted to do. And then they started a Twitch channel, and they started doing these virtual tour dates, and they would just change their background, and, they'd go and play little live gigs. And they built this Twitch up to the point where on Halloween, they actually hosted a 24-hour telethon to raise money for the Equal Justice Initiative, where they streamed on their Twitch for 24 it was actually 25 hours because of the time change. So it was 25 straight hours that they had performances, and I was on there. I counted down my favorite episodes of The Office with them, and it was just like they filled that time up so well. They raised like, I want to say they raised around $15,000. It was incredible, and so like they're a great band to look to for just like how do you survive when, you know, you have same thing with Dogleg is another great band to look at. You know, they first kind of rolled out. They had a record that dropped in March. Great live band. All of a sudden, that's off the table. They had a bunch of live studio footage they started putting out. They did their own they did some streaming stuff. And then just recently, them and another band that's friends of theirs, they decided to cover each other and put out EPs of each other's songs. So it's like, you know, you got to look at some of those things and just see like how people were able to survive and adapt in these situations, and just, you know, take some inspiration from them. I can name I'm proud of everybody that I work with this year, because I think everybody really climbed outside of their comfort zones and figured out another way to do their thing. So
nice. Well, Jamie, I'll let you go. Thank you again for getting a babysitter just to talk with me.
Yes, of course, only for you.
Just to talk with me.
Yes, not to run a business or anything. Yeah,
no, that's not true. I was just going to congratulate you again on no earbuds. Going out on your own, I know, can be very scary. And I'd love to talk about that at some point when you don't have a babysitter, you know, just starting your own business, and oh man. So
yeah, let's do it. Let's do a part 2. I don't give a shit. Let's do it.
We'll do it in a couple years or months or whatever. But congratulations again on everything. Congratulations on your child. Congratulations 6 years ago to your wedding.
Thank you. So, wow. Right. Incredible way to wrap it up. I love it.
That was good. Okay. Well,